Welcome, everybody. This is a big night. We are excited to kick off 2025 tonight, in person training module number 1. So we did do a mindset training on Zoom right around the new year. So hopefully you were able to join that. And that was just kind of the start you guys thinking about what you want out of this summer. And today we're going to dive in and we're going to start learning about it. So I'm Theron Anderson. You may have heard me, got a message from me on Slack or a text. I do all the texting that go out from Point. I do all of the Slack operations. So I'm all the ops, housing, incentives, swag, trainings, basically everything that's not sales is me, except for Caroline. She does the payroll. So you want to be nice to Caroline too. All right, let's jump in. We have a training this weekend for those of you that are on the leadership team. That'll be Saturday morning at 9 a.m. here. We'll have breakfast at 8:30. And the next time we have this training that you all need to attend is 2 weeks from tonight on the 29th. So all those trainings will be the same night of the week, same time, 8 p.m. with food before every other Wednesday until we start selling. So just plan on that and be here every time. Those of you that are on Zoom or that are tuning in from Rexburg or Cedar City, we're going to be doing these trainings in person in those locations in the in-between weeks. So the opposite every other Wednesday night. So in other words, next Wednesday night, we'll be doing this training in person in those 2 cities. And then the last day of the month, Friday the 31st, we're doing our Utah Hockey Club game and Ruth's Chris for people that have recruited reps for the summer. So a recruiting incentive, if you sign 2 reps, two people that you get signed, then you get to come to the game. We have a ticket for you at the hockey game. And if you sign 3 or more, you get to come to Ruth's Chris steak dinner before the game up in Salt Lake. So we've had about 5 or 6 people already earn this, and a few people that are close. So bring your friends to these trainings. The best way to recruit is to just tell them to come check it out, or get in touch with your manager and have them set up a meeting with Parker. We'll just low pressure. We'll just tell them what this opportunity looks like, and we want you to share it with your friends. That incentive started the day after Christmas, and it ends the 30th at midnight. And this is our signing class so far. So this is a big group. This was the best thing I did all week, was fitting all the names on this slide. Right? So 171 reps signed as of about an hour ago. And we are about to have our 2 biggest recruiting months of the year. So we are definitely going to be north of 200 reps. We've never done that. You guys are part of the biggest sales class we've ever had, for sure. We're going to have the biggest summer. We're going to break records, and you're going to be part of it. So if your name's not on there, sign. And then you'll get all the goods. Few announcements. I already talked about these trainings, but please don't miss them. If you do miss them, we record them, but don't miss them, because the opportunity is to do this in person, to practice and to role play and to hear it from the best of the best, like these 2 guys up here in the front. It's not the same on the video. Okay, come here. We do role plays. We do practice the whole time. So don't miss these. We are also hiring techs. With as big as a team as we're going to have, and as many teams as we'll have, we need techs. So if you have friends, family members, people that are like, no, dude, I'll never do sales. I'll never door to door. You're crazy. But they want to make 20, 30,000 in a summer. They could do that as a tech. So send them our way. I'll give them a job.
I'll just say process on that. So obviously for hiring reps, then tee up with your regional. Technicians, I want to be in the mix on that, because I'm going to play middleman between like us and the client, and the client is going to be the one that ends up hiring them. So
you need to say something.
will you just reiterate that?
Yeah. So talk to Parker about tech referrals if you're on Zoom. You didn't hear that. Take those to Parker. Any reps that you're referring to sell, you can do that through your regional manager. Onboarding. So once you sign, you're gonna get a text from me, and the text is gonna tell you, go to this place and do your onboarding. It's got a link. And if you do that onboarding, we get your photo, we get you in all of our software systems, we get you on Slack so you can get all of our announcements. Very, very important that you complete that onboarding as soon as you sign and don't wait. So, a lot of you haven't done it yet. And, those of you that have will receive some swag, and a few people I have your swag here. A lot of it's been shipped directly, but I have some people swag. So if your name's on this list, Bliss, Sheik, Cooper, Eli, Gage, Jackson, Marcus, I've got some swag for you in my office today. And then as you fill, if you did the onboarding already and your name's not there, it's coming. It's either being shipped to you or it's being sent to me, and I'll let you know when it's ready. Because each of those, we're gonna customize those for you, make them cool. All right. Wait a minute. There, whoa, every name, look at that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the people that still need to complete their onboarding. It's a little bit of a long list. I'd rather not have it be this long. If the reason you haven't done your onboarding is because your bill, your Gusto link has expired and that's not working, just Slack me and I'll get it working for you. Because I don't know when those expire, and if people don't do them after a few weeks, they expire. So just Slack me, say, Theron, please send me a new Gusto link so I can finish this and I'll do it. Gusto is our HR software that makes make sure you get paid. And Bill is our company credit card software that gives each of you a card during the summer. So Gusto is more important than Bill, or at least it's more, you'll need it more recently. So the card you won't need until you start selling.
Let's get this list cut in like half.
Yeah.
By the next training. So if you're on this list, then please talk to your manager and let's get this done. Because it's gonna make our life a lot easier, and we need to, at some point, we're gonna have to start working on housing and things like that. So we need to get this done.
Yeah. So thank you, Parker. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Parker. He's gonna start the training. Any questions for me about anything that I went over already? You can I'm here Monday through Friday in that office right there. You can come talk to me anytime. Feel free to use our office for meetings with recruits. Come study here. It's yours. Feel free to use it. All right, Parker, give him a hand. Awesome.
Okay. If you don't know Theron is awesome, man. You'll be your best friend in terms of a lot of things this summer, and wears a ton of hats, and so we're really grateful for him. And yeah, Theron's the best. Love him. So okay, here's our objectives tonight. So thank you for being here. These trainings are awesome. You'll get a lot out of them. Your ROI on them will be really, really great. So in these trainings, the last one, if you haven't watched it, I thought it was really fun. We talked about mindset and like the mental side of this job. This is a hard job mentally. And so we talked about the mental toughness piece and just like best practices there. If you missed that, it's recorded, and I would invite you to go back and watch it. Tonight forward will be very like technical. So we're going to get into like the pitch and how to say it, and just best practices with communication and how to communicate really effectively and confidently. So that's tonight forward, but the last one was kind of fun, just getting into the mindset stuff. So anyway, tonight I'm going to be talking about these 4 things: making a plan to becoming trained, just being intentional about it. I know a lot of you guys are students and have other things going on, and so you got to make time for it, make it a priority, right? Like the people last year that made really, really good money, a lot of them, there's a massive correlation between those that made good money and those that took the off season really seriously and came to trainings, and so they showed up in the summer knowing what to say and what to expect and stuff like that, right? So that's an important piece. We're going to talk about communication filters, like how we communicate as humans. The sales cycle and learning the steps of the sales cycle. Who knows who this is?
Before you go, I have to put back and play this.
Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
This is Mark Cuban.
If the spot is back, we leave. Yeah.
Yeah. So he owns the Dallas Mavericks, and he's a billionaire.
The airport.
And he's also on Shark Tank. A little fun show. He's an amazing business person, and I think what he says and what a lot of really, really wealthy people
tell them what to say.
common message.
Airport, begin confidence,
So tonight we're gonna be learning about sales and we're gonna be getting into it over the next couple of weeks or months in preparation for summer. One of the best things that I've ever done in my life is learn how to sell. I'm really confident as a salesperson, and it brings me a ton of peace in my life knowing that like if everything went to heck in my life and we lost everything, I could fly somewhere and go sell some pest control and put food on the table really quick because because of a skill that I've learned. And so I think this is a really cool quote. This is someone, a lot of people think that they're above sales, especially door sales, right?
But it's
It
not.
was Mark Cuban's first job he ever had. Was a door salesperson. And actually, if you dig in and find out, there's a lot of billionaires and really wealthy people that got their start in our world.
A little bit peculiar.
So I'm gonna have someone read this.
Wasn't when Wider did that, there was a huge problem, but then they could have friends and buddies and positions, all not qualified, also.
Career-wise, it was learning how to sell, which meant I could always find a job. It also meant that any company I ever started would always have a chance to survive.
And that was his answer to the question, what's the best decision you've ever made in terms of your career? So, yeah, I love this thought. I'm excited to be like diving into this stuff. I think it's such an important skill. High value skills are like what you want to learn at a young age, right? And so this is one of them. Obviously, learning how to sell. Some of you guys in the future will be business owners. You'll own your own business. Again, you'll sleep really good at night knowing that if you lose some of your salespeople or you lose some customers, you can go and put revenue on yourself. Like you're not relying on other people. You can go do it, right? So there's a lot of power in that. And so I'm excited to dive into this stuff. This is Steph Curry. And he's who I guess the question I'll ask is, this is a dumb question because he's on the slide, but who holds the record for the most 3-point shots in NBA history? Steph Curry does. So Steph Curry has a really cool story, and I think a lot of people when they think of Steph Curry, they think amazing talent, right? And he is incredibly gifted. If you've watched Steph Curry, such a gifted shooter. But I think a lot of people want to be something or somewhere in their life, but when they find out what's the costs to go and do that thing, they second guess it, right? There's usually a cost. We talked about that last week in last week's mindset training. Like, what do I want to get out of this summer or my life? And then a follow-up question is, well, what's that going to cost, right? Like, what's the price tag? So I want to talk about his price tag, and then this is going to relate to your process and preparing for summer and the off season. Okay. So his practice process, I had heard this and I dug into it and went down a rabbit hole because I love this stuff, but he doesn't let himself go to sleep at night in the off season unless he has made, I read in a lot of places, 500 shots. So he shoots so many 3-point shots in the off season, and he doesn't let himself be done for that day unless he makes 500 shots. That's like obsessed to greatness, right? Obsessed with greatness. So that's his shooting practice. And then he's got all these other things that are just like non-negotiable practice process things that he does, right? Then he's got his process in the season. And there's things that he's doing daily with that process, right? So I got this idea from this book that I read, How Champions Think. I just finished it last week. It's a really awesome book on like sports psychology, but the author talks about how really high achievers have a practice process and then they have a performance process. And so we're going to talk about our practice process and not so much the performance process because it's not summer yet. But in summertime with your managers, you'll put together a performance process that will yield hopefully really good results in summer. But with it being the off season and us kind of starting our training, I just want to introduce maybe a process that I recommend, and you might implement some more stuff as well in addition to this. But here's how we're going to get the most out of these trainings. If you come to these trainings to just kind of get fed the information, there's a more effective way to do it. So if you're hired and you're on Slack, which there's a lot of you that need to get out of the Slack still, but you can have access to all these trainings. So there's like 8 or 9 of these training modules that we're going to be covering over the next couple of months. You have access to all of them and you can read them beforehand. And that's what I would recommend in terms of your process. I would read the slides before you come to our company training. And then when you come to these trainings, our goal as, you know, myself and the regionals that'll be covering these trainings, we're gonna try to add some color and some context to it and just give you some nuggets. But like, then there's a deeper level. So the deeper level is we're not at these trainings going to do a ton of role plays, critique type stuff. It is going to be a little bit like of us presenting best practices to you with some color. So your best process is read the slides before you come, understand it, come here, and we're going to go deeper. And then you need to be doing one-on-ones with your managers and getting feedback and getting better. And those one-on-ones are going to be about implementation, right? So you're going to take the stuff that you're learning at these and get better and become really proficient. So any questions on that? So the goal is to have a process that is just is dialed in, and let's all become Steph Curry, you know? So, okay, so jumping into communication filters. So there's 3 ways that we communicate as humans. I love this stuff. I'm a big believer that like you have a ceiling in life, unfortunately, in a lot of areas if you can't communicate well and with confidence, right? Most industries are like people businesses, right? Like we work in pest control, but at church all the time I'll have people be like, "How is pest control?" And I'm like, "I'm in the people business, right?" Like you guys are not in the pest control business, you're in the people business. You're trying to make sales day in and day out. If you're a technician, you're in the pest control business, right? You need to be knowledgeable, and we're going to teach you about pest control. But for the most part, your goal is to become really proficient communicators, right? And that's what you get paid to do. So as humans, we communicate in 3 ways. Non-verbally, which is like our body language. I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. Metaverbal communication, who can kind of define that for me? What does that mean? What is metaverbal communication?
How you speak.
Yeah, so it's like how it comes out, and we'll dive into that in a second. And then there's the verbal piece, right? Which is the actual words that I say. So some people think, they look at this and it's like they think it's a little bit of an over exaggeration, maybe, but honestly, like if you've talked to someone and they have something really wacky going on here in this part of the pie, like it's really hard to dial in the words that they're saying, right? And so our goal is to help you with all 3 of these. So as we're doing these demos and presentations and as we're giving feedback, a lot of it is going to be about the words, right? We're going to be teaching you the words to the pitch and stuff. But with your one-on-ones, that's why they're so important. And you'll see us in giving feedback too with the demos that we do. We will be talking about not just the what you say, but this other stuff too. Because really elite reps have all of it figured out. You know, they know how to talk to, they talk to a grandma differently than they do a 40-year-old bodybuilder, right? Like there's a difference in how we need to communicate with people to make them feel comfortable. So we're going to get into that stuff, not just with how you what you say, but with all of it. So, okay. So before we do that, I think I want to talk about what our goal is not. So let's talk real quick about the negative stigma with sales, not just summer sales, but just like sales in general. When you think of the negative stuff with sales, what comes to your mind? And kind of like focusing on that there's a reason why I showed that communication filter first. So like with how they talk, with what they do with their body, with the words they use, like what are the bad things? Sorry. Yeah, something. Yeah.
Being like pushy,
yeah,
overbearing.
Yeah, aggressive.
Yeah.
And that can be like with their body language, with how they speak. So with metaverbal communication, they talk fast, or they're just like the energy level is too high, right? So yeah, what else? That's a good one. Yeah, Emily. Okay. So yeah, they're kind of like, what's in it for me? Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Win-lose type business deals, transactions. What else? Any others that come to mind in terms of like the communication stuff? Yeah, Nate? Okay. Okay, yeah. What else? Let's get a couple more.
It's dishonest or immoral people.
Okay. Yeah, so that'd be like verbal. Maybe one or two more. Yeah.
Maybe like belittling people.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I like it. So our goal, like all that stuff that was just mentioned, our goal this summer and how we train you is to do the opposite. I believe that the very, very best sellers are win-win type people, and they also come off as really likable to the customer. People buy from people that they like and trust. So our goal with communication is to be perceived as someone that's super likable, that's also trustworthy. So everything we're going to do in terms of how we teach you how to sell is we want you to come off as extremely likable and trustworthy. So that's the goal. So with body language, with how you talk, with the words you actually use, with everything, right? And then I just wanted to kind of, this last little thought is, this job is hard. You have a little bit of like the deck stacked against you, especially in door-to-door sales when you're not, they didn't ask for you to come by, right? Selling in general is just hard, even in like a soft, in kind of like a warmed up customer standpoint. So Foot Locker, if I walk into a Foot Locker, I use this example all the time, and the sales rep comes up to me, and I'm obviously there because I'm maybe looking for some shoes or whatever. Maybe I'm not, but what's our knee-jerk reaction usually when a salesperson comes up to us and says, "Hey, how can I help you?" What's just like, we can't even help but say it. Like, what do we usually say? Good. Like we just like have this like resistance, right? Like, I'm good, please don't sell me. Like, it's awkward.
I was doing the whole.
I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Do you have something? Yeah.
It's usually just like, oh, I'm just looking around.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be sold. Like, people hate being sold. And so you're going to deal with that resistance this summer. So what can help with that? Like, the deck is stacked in your favor, right? They didn't ask for you to come by their house. What you can do is you can be really good at communicating, and you can do a lot of things to disarm them in terms of like how you present yourself. So that's our goal. So I'm going to talk about body language. This is nonverbal communication. Jonas, can you read?
Yeah, I got you. Nonverbal communication expressed as movement, the speed thereof, and placement of the body, received mostly below the level of awareness, although the receiver may not be aware. The person communicating can learn to be aware of the power of the body language.
Yeah, thank you. Anything that stands out on this slide, like just in terms of body language? So body language was a huge piece of that pie. It's so important. But yeah, what kind of jumps out at you in terms of just like what's written on this slide in terms of body language? Yeah.
We're not aware that we're doing it, but we can become aware when we are doing it.
Love it. Yeah. I think this thought's super interesting. Like it's received mostly below the level of awareness, right? So a lot of times we're aware of the words, but like we're not aware of body language until someone does something that like turns us off or turns us into a position of like fight or flight, right? So that's what we're trying to avoid, is doing things that put people in that position of like, I'm unsafe or like something like that, right? So we're going to talk a ton about body language. I just wanted to give you like one example of kind of one thing that we're going to be diving into. Here is a list of some of the things that we will be talking about in terms of body language. So dressing the part, we'll have reps sometimes come out in the summer and they have like purple hair or something. And I'm like, that's cool, but I don't think you're going to sell a ton with purple hair. Like, I'm not trying to be rude or judgmental, but if I'm a 50, 60-year-old homeowner and you knock on my door and I work really hard for my money and I'm going to go hire a pest control company, I'd like to hire someone, and there's exceptions, right? People hire people with purple hair sometimes, but I'm going to do everything to stack the deck in my favor, right? And so I'm going to do everything I can to try to like, I guess try to stack the deck in my favor. I want to do everything I can to control what I can.
Professionalism.
Professionalism is the vibe. Yes, like, so that means shirt tucked in, it means just looking the part, right? Like something that's distracting, can hurt, so. Yeah, space zone, this is gonna be like how far away I stand from someone. Sometimes, in these trainings I've done in the past, I'll have like two people come up that don't know each other and they stand like, I make them stand uncomfortably really close to each other. And like, it's like an MMA fight, like a weigh-in, you know? And, it's super uncomfortable, like, I won't do it, I promise, but, it's not comfortable. We're not comfortable if we're in a, if we're in the wrong space zone. So, I know that some of you guys in the past have maybe crossed paths with someone where they like just, they're not aware of like how far away they are or just their level of distance, right? So being aware of that, we like dive into this and kind of geek out on like, there are times to close the gap and show them something. But like standing right next to someone for a super long period of time and like doing a close right next to them, like, Cam, you gonna be home later? Like, we'd love to get your home service. And I'm like right in your ear. So there's things that are best practices and things that are not as awesome. So space zones, head movement, like nodding your head when you want a positive reaction. Positioning is going to be like my body. If I'm squaring someone up, it can come off as confrontational. So turning to the side a little bit. Eye contact is huge. And then mirroring. So I'm going to dive into these just real quick. I'm not going to spend a ton of time in these because I just want to introduce this stuff tonight. We're not gonna like go super deep, but there are space zones in terms of how we're talking to someone. So when I'm knocking a door, I'm gonna be like we teach like 6 to 8 feet away from the door. So Cameron's the door, I'm gonna be about this distance away. So it's enough distance to where they're comfortable, but it's close enough to where they can hear me, right? And then there's gonna be times in the sale where I'm gonna get closer or further away, and we'll kind of give you some advice on that. Head movement. So this is just another fun one. I just wanted to show a couple of these. But when you're trying to get a positive interaction, like a lot of times when you're closing in sales, it can be really powerful to do a little head nod. So I have a little video. Cameron actually built this. Can we play this? So see if just advancing it will play it. Cool. So that couldn't be heard super well, but all three of those, the customer was like, gave a positive response. How much is that? So yeah, head nodding is super powerful. That's something that we'll teach. Mirroring. This is another fun one. This is the last one I'm going to talk on body language, but who knows what mirroring is? Or who's heard of this? Noah.
If someone folds their arms while you're talking to them, you fold your arms as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like the body language version of there's a verbal version of this too that I'll talk about in a second, but it's basically making them feel really comfortable in terms of body language, right? So if I have a grandma that's hunched over and then a cane like coming to the door, like sometimes we just naturally do this stuff, but some people, again, like if you don't do it, then it's felt by the customer. So comes to the door, crouched over, like I might kind of get more down on her level, right? Arms folded is an awesome example. So people feel comfortable when you kind of remind them of them in terms of just like the body language piece. And look for this. This is a fun one. Like you can be a really, really good communicator when you're keeping this stuff in mind. So metaverbal communication. So we've already discovered like it's how you say stuff, right? Who's heard this quote? It's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? So I have a 5-year-old and all the time I'm like, the word tone is used like all the time in my house right now. Because we're teaching him, man. Like they have to learn, and I'm still that all the time. Like tone is super important. How you say stuff. In fact, earlier today I was talking to my wife and I was like kind of passionate about what I was talking about. We weren't in a fight. Sometimes we do fight, but we weren't in a fight. And I was like passionately talking, and Noah was like, he's like, "Are you guys fighting?" And I was like, "No, I'm just passionate. It's just my tone, you know." So when you say the phrase "I am sorry," there's like a zillion ways you can say it, right? You can say it sincerely, you can say it sarcastically, like "I'm sorry," right? You can say it with anger, There's so many ways you can say it. And so this summer, we're gonna help you hear like, dude, there's a better way to say that. Try it this way, not that way, right? So we're gonna help you become really proficient with your metaverbal communication. So a lot of times when people do our pitch, volume is one, but speed is a big one. People talk really fast. When you get nervous, usually we speed up. So we're gonna try to help you to slow down. Like you said, a lot of times salespeople can come off as like aggressive, and we want to help you feel not aggressive, likable, honest, comfortable. And so a lot of times when I go knock a door, I literally like take a yoga breath before, like, and I did this for a long time, 7-8 years, and every door, it was like they're coming out, and I take a deep breath because I'm trying to slow down and be really clear and not be sped up, because sped up means, and it feels nervous to the customer. So speed is a big one. We're going to help and coach you with that. Volume is big. Don't talk like a mouse, but also some people, like, their natural thing is that it sounds like they're yelling at someone. So we'll help you with that. Pitch is a big one. So we up pitch a lot of times when we ask questions in English, right? Like, are you coming with me? So we up pitch with our voice. But when we get nervous, a lot of times we up pitch when it's not a question, right? So it's kind of if you serve the mission, this is kind of the missionary voice. I don't know why we do it on our missions, but like when we're like bearing our testimony, right? Like, so it's annoying. Like, just speak with like statements, not pitchiness, right? So we're gonna try to help you with that. And then silence is a powerful, that kind of sounds weird, but like closing and waiting is awesome. Echoing is similar to the mirroring thing that Noah was talking about. So echoing is gonna be, again, I'm gonna talk differently to maybe like an older person than I am someone that's younger, right? One might be more casual. You should be really cognizant, not just with the words you use and addressing people with like sir and respect, but also with just how you talk to them and address them, right? So that's a big one. And then the last one is verbal. So words matter, and there are words that will teach you that kind of like stack the deck in your favor, like and ones that don't. We like the word agreement better than contracts, product better than chemicals. Like there's little things you can do, not to be dishonest, but if you have control of the conversation, to soften words and even like what I just said, with like addressing people as sir instead of bro and like things like that, right? Those matter. Like they matter, and you will get sales being sloppy, but you will get a lot more sales being really intentional. Okay, so that's maybe the main takeaway with verbal. Like, be intentional with the actual words that you use. And I always err on formal, right? So I served a mission in Eastern Europe, and if you address someone with like the wrong, like formality in terms of just like respect, like you'll get whacked by it. Like they care about it. And sometimes we're too relaxed with some of that stuff. So be cognizant, not just of how you say things, but with the actual words that you say to address people and stuff. Anything to add from leaders or just people here on any of this stuff in terms of like communication stuff? So tonight was just an intro. I just wanted to kind of like, we like to start with that before we get into like the actual pitch. Cam tonight, I'm going to turn it over to him. Cameron's amazing teacher, and he's going to take the second half tonight, and he's going to go through start to finish the sales cycle is what we call it. He's not going to go super deep into each one. So over the next couple of months, we're going to go deep into each section. Like we will spend a whole training next time on the first 5 to 10 seconds of pitch. So we're going to go really deep. He's going to kind of like bird's eye view, touch every part of the sales process, just so you guys can see the beginning from the end. I think it's really powerful. The rest of the time for you guys to be able to see like, hey, this is the kind of the direction this thing goes. So any questions so far? Okay, cool. Let's give Cam a hand.
You can clip it or do whatever you want.
So I'll be talking on the sales cycle tonight, and like Parker said, this will be mostly bird's eye view to everyone who's new. For the vets, this will be a recap on what you already know. So I'd love interaction and hands with this. But we have a process for the sales cycle. And the reason we have this process is because when you're in the middle of a conversation, you can always go back to the sales cycle and remember what the next step is. How many people that have sold before got lost on their first or second day and they didn't remember what the next step was? Raise hands, right? Everyone. And so this will be one of the more important things to memorize pre-season, so that even if you are lost, you know the title of the next section, and you can fall back to a category that you remember. So this is the sales cycle and how we teach it. And we will go through each section kind of briefly today. And I'll ask you questions, but I really believe that this sales cycle has generated amazing income for people that have trusted in this and fully committed to this. And there will be styles that you can adapt during the summer, and everyone has their own unique way of selling. But when it comes down to it, this is the core and foundation of what all of our top reps are doing. And you look at their videos and all of their sales, this is their core. So it should be yours as well. So let's start off with the initial approach. And this is the first couple seconds of your pitch. This is the first couple seconds of your interaction. And kind of like Parker said, it's not even what you're saying, it's mostly how you look and how you're standing and what the customer sees. And so there's even been times when I've had to help reps because they just look awkward when the person opens the door, whether they're like, "Hey ma'am," and you're like, "What are you doing?" And so when we can kind of dial in our first how we look, it creates opportunity and it creates amazing interactions with people.
Normally your customers won't be this attractive.
Yeah.
Look how shiny his head is.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Special customer, special sales rep there too. So you want to explain why you're there, and this is all done within a couple seconds. Like first 10 seconds, you're explaining why you're there. You might even say who you are, and you're creating interest. My favorite thing is you're creating a connection with the customer. So I refer to the Point YouTube channel a lot. You guys should too. You'll see all of our top reps snap a quick joke or say something, compliment the person, and be human. This is like the most important part. When the Foot Locker guy approaches you, the reason you're like hands off is because first thing he says is like, "Can I help you find anything?" But if he came up to me and he's like, "Dude, those shoes are so sick," I would be probably more inclined to talk with him and be like, "Yeah, your shoes are awesome too," or just kind of like vibe with the situation. So this is like priority when it comes to your initial approach is following the guidelines, but creating a good connection and being human and normal. And if you can remember that that this isn't robotic and it becomes more conversational, then you will create more connections. And like Emily Hansen says, "I made so many friends today." That's her favorite thing to say is, "I made so many friends today." And it's because she's really good at making connections with people on the doors. So the first two steps is we have our intro phrase. For most of it, it's a name drop and we're introing what we're doing, or we're telling them we're here doing pest control. And then the second is we're asking a really important question to engage them and keep them in the conversation. And so before I jump into insight or response, why would it be important to engage the customer? Why wouldn't we just like want to get all of our pitch out at once? Why would it be important? Let's go Izzy and then you're in the front.
Start a conversation instead of you just speaking to them.
There you go. Yeah. Being conversational, kind of creating that connection with the customer.
I mean, if you like know them and kind of understand what they'll need, you can tell them exactly what they need to hear.
Perfect. So like gaining information. Yeah. Perfect. Anyone else?
People love it when you talk about them. And so if you're starting it off and you're already talking about them instead of yourself, it creates more of a, oh, he has something to give instead of just giving once or not.
Perfect. I love that answer too. People love talking about themselves. If you want to start and make a good friendship, have someone talk about themselves, and like within 10 minutes, you will become an amazing listener and have a really good friend.
One more, we go back to
Yeah.
this real quick, to the last slide. I was just gonna give like an example of this, which there's gonna be chances for this, but like an intro phrase, like a bread and butter one, just, and we're not going deep in any of these, but just to give you guys a little bit of an example. So intro phrase, we love name dropping early. If you have customers around, that's gonna be, whether it's a customer or a street name or some sort of name, that's gonna be kind of your intro phrase. That's our bread and butter. So yeah, I do work with Bob across the street, or I'm doing work on Willow Creek Street here. And that's just a powerful like intro phrase that you're saying. And then an example of a question might be, has anyone let you guys know what we're doing out here? Or has anyone been by today to let you guys know what I'm doing, or something like that? So we're gonna give you a bunch of these little phrases that you can kind of roll with and get comfortable with. But anyway, I just wanted to give like an example or two of like some of those things.
So jumping into the insight response, kind of like you guys said, we want to get an answer out of them and we want to get them engaged. But one of the main reasons we're inciting this response is because we are actually offering a service and we would like to gain their service and have them be our customer. And so we're offering a discount, or we're asking who their current company is. In a lot of the markets that you'll be going to, the people that will be your customers already have a company. And so, like Parker said earlier, people buy from people they like and trust. And a perfect example of this is, I always say on the doors, if you like Rumble, you're gonna love me. Or if you like Aptiv, you're gonna love Palisade. And the reason for that is because we're wanting to incite a response with the customer and have them do some of the talking. The cool part about sales is you will only have a couple predictable outcomes the entire summer. So if you can nail this down now, there won't be any curveballs, which is awesome, because in most jobs, like there's endless answers and responses that you can get, and it can be kind of confusing. If you can kind of simplify this job and know that you will only have like 5 to 7 different hard objections or kind of like different problems to solve, then you can become an amazing problem solver and create a lot of income. So there's only a few predictable responses that you will get when you say these intro phrases, and you will know exactly what they are. And that's because they're super predictable. We can create and control the conversation. So for example, people will ask how much, they will ask what you are treating for, like what kind of bugs you might be spraying your pest control. They already have a company, like I mentioned earlier, and then they like to treat themselves. Everyone knows the guy that pumps up the Home Defense or the Raid and sprays themselves. And so we come into contact with a lot of people that have these concerns or these questions early on, and we will teach you how to respond to each one of these phrases and these questions and concerns. But what's cool is every time you do this pitch and this cycle, these will be the questions and these will be the concerns that people have. So that there won't be any confusion when someone says, hey man, I'm not interested. I guarantee you by June 1st, you will know and be super confident when they say that.
I just want to add one more thing, sorry. So I think of this as like a flow chart. So like our goal is that like I do this, I say this, and I know the options that the customer has, right? And I'm not being manipulative. I'm just I do this and the customer has this or this option, and one of them is to tell me no, but I know that, and so I'm prepared for that. And so anyway, in my head, I like to think of it in terms of a flow chart. It's like this, I do this thing, they have 3 or 4 options, and I know what those are, and then whichever way that goes, I'm prepared for any of them, because I have a process, and then I put the reps in, and like Steph Curry, I've shot my 500 shots a day on these 3 or 4 things that the customer could say at this point in the sale. And so I'm just so confident and comfortable with it. So anyway, I love the word predictable. Like really elite people with whatever they're doing in their life, they create predictable outcomes. They're in control, right? And so that's what our goal is in terms of, that's why we do this pitch, is we want to create really predictable outcomes.
Great. Overcoming objections is probably the reason that most people won't do a sales job. You are 1% of people that want to help people solve their problems, and you are the people that will get paid more than 99% of the people that aren't willing to solve those problems. And so the reason I say that is because if you can help people solve problems and be a good communicator, you will get paid really well. The highest paid people are people who talk, people who communicate really well. So if you can master communication in general and become someone that speaks well and communicates well, I guarantee you'll see amazing results. And so overcoming objections, we have a cycle for that, and we have a process to it as well. I like to say, this is an objection, it's not a rejection. So if a girl ever told you no to dating her, it's a no, like, don't go back. We go back several times, and we have opportunity to create amazing outcomes. What's cool is most of the sales you will get this summer, the person will initially tell you no, which I know sounds scary because maybe your parents told you no and it means no. What's cool here is these are all predictable outcomes, and you can work people through these objections. So in order to overcome objections, we have a 3-step cycle. Empathy, tailored response, and close. Who can define empathy? Like, what is an empathy statement? Totally, that's a good one.
Like, I hear you, I understand.
Love it, yeah. So I understand, I hear you. That tells them that you're listening and that you understand their concerns. Any other ones that you guys might use? Girlfriends, wives?
Sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that. Okay, yeah, that's great too. You are creating like a more deep connection, and I would use that on sales that, maybe they tell you they lost someone that they loved, and like that would be a super appropriate empathy statement for that as well.
Or they have active.
It's almost equal to that. So a tailored response is exactly what it says. It is a response that you will basically tailor to their needs, and it is a predictable response that you have already practiced a million times with your manager. And then close. We'll dive into the close in a second. So it's a 3-step process, like I said. Empathy, tailored response, close. It's pretty simple. This sales cycle and this objection cycle, memorize it early on, because I guarantee you when someone says they're not interested, if you can just think back to this chart and remember empathy, tailored response, close, you're going to be 1 step ahead.
Can you talk about the logic on the tailored response?
Yeah. One reason why we give good tailored responses is because there needs to be a why and an understanding behind the sentence we're giving. So, for example, if someone said they're not interested and all I said was, well, it's a really good price, you should do it. There's not much logic behind that statement other than the price being good. And so I would like some examples, maybe some people that are experienced or even new people. What would be a good logical statement to someone that might not be interested? Let's hear from some vets. What's a good tailored response?
I'll just do all of it. Yeah, totally understand. I guess just something to think about. A lot of the neighbors are just getting ahead of it.
There you go.
It's early in the season. If I could pitch in, it'd be half off.
Perfect. So he went over the empathy statement. He created value and explained that right now is a great time early in the season to get pest control done before things start heating up, and then he closed. Let's hear 1 or 2 more tailored responses. Kyle, I know you got something beautiful up this sleeve.
It's brewing.
It's brewing. Okay, we'll come back.
I just want to say, like, and then we should ask for one more. This will make you so much money. Like, this is what sales is. I believe that, like, if you just kind of go throughout your day in the summer, there's maybe one person a day that will buy. If you just stick with the pitch that is like interested in pest control, open-minded. But if you want to sell 3, 4, 5 plus a day, 5 to 10 sales a day is like what our best reps are doing. They're creating sales. Like, I love the word create, right? And they're creating sales out of
the same people that the other person's getting maybe one out of. And this process is why they get really good at making a customer feel heard and then presenting logic. Tailored response is just a fancy phrase for logic. They get really good at presenting logic. They can change their mind. And then they close and they ask for business, or they push the combo forward with a question or a statement. And so we'll get you really good at this process. And this is how, you know, Cameron, his first summer ever doing this, sold 400 accounts, and he's only gotten better since. He is really, really good at that process. And that's how people make a lot of money doing this, is they get really good at taking, you know, no, we're good, we have a company, or no, we're good, we do it ourselves. Oh yeah, totally, that's awesome. You gotta be doing something, share some logic, push it forward, and just like creating yeses out of no's with confidence. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. Sweet. I'll give one last example of a good tailored response. This is pest control, but believe it or not, we do service a lot of homes that don't have bugs. So I like to say a lot of the time, no worries, ma'am. A lot of the folks around here don't see too many pests right now. They like to protect their biggest asset, which is their home. And since Jerry's getting it done, I can fit you in for super cheap. Or if you refer to the neighbor, since Ben's getting it done, I'd be able to fit you in for about half off. So that's an example of a logical statement. Did you have something there?
Yeah, I've heard you guys teach it this way. If you're having a hard time understanding the concept of tailored response, giving the customer permission to move forward, because they've said something already to you that's would make them sound like a liar if they then chose to buy, right? Because they said, no, I'm not interested, or my wife said no. You give them a license to step out of what they've already said. And so by saying something that undoes that, it helps them say, oh, okay, yeah, tell me more. Because a lot of people don't want to look stupid, and they don't want to be liars. And so you're going to give them a reason not to be after they've already said no.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I like to use the word educate. Educate the customer, and it allows the sale to move forward. Sweet. So this is one of my favorite parts, and on why I'm super passionate about pest control. I started as a technician for Point in 2019. I was one of Parker's technicians, and so I'm super passionate about the service because I was the guy out there spraying pest control, and so I know the service inside and out. And if you can help people understand and present the service to where it creates good value, then they will be able to purchase a higher level service. You will be able to create money and value out of thin air based on how you present this service. So if Carter sold a service right next to me, in the same exact service, one of us could make more money than the other based on the words we say and how we present. So I truly believe that in the sales cycle, presenting is going to be a huge part of contract value and the value provided for the customer. So the first one is need. We're just going to scrape over this. So I always tell my reps, there's 3 things that people care about in pest control: their home, the bugs, and the neighbors. It all falls under those 3 categories. And we will jump into that, but creating need usually comes from one of those three bullet points. The value part of it comes from our actual scope of service and what service we will be providing for the customer. Like I said, I'm really passionate about this, and so when I'm out there doing inspections, I like to show them all the wasp nests, or I get down low near the border of their foundation and I show them some of the ants, and it creates this like sense of urgency and value for our customers, knowing that they might need pest control, or it might be a good option for them in the future. This says, do they feel like the service they are getting is a good deal? And so if you price a customer really high, then you should create the value that matches that price. If you don't, what kind of objection should you expect at the end of the sale?
Well, the price is kind of.
Well, the price is pretty high. I don't know if I want to do this. Sounds pretty expensive. And the only reason you would get that is because the value you created wasn't matching the price you. And then lastly is urgency. All of our companies that we will be knocking for this summer have technicians ready and available to service these accounts. And so you might even have a technician across the street servicing an account or spraying their home. And you get to tell them and show them that our trucks are ready to roll. If you want to jump on board with us, we're already here out front. What is Black Friday? Why does it exist? To sell stuff, yeah. But why can't we just buy it the rest of the year? It's half off. Who said that? Carly? Carter? Great. Well, Black Friday is literally half off and it creates urgency for people to buy that night or that day. I know a lot of people that buy stuff on Black Friday. It's like, did you need that? Like, dude, it was on sale. Did you need that? It's like, no, it's on sale. And so the urgency part of thing really can create decision and create a sense of like pushing people towards their decisions sooner because of our urgency. So we put in an urgency line. This discount is for a limited time, or my trucks are right here at Becky's house. If I could fit you in while I'm here, it would be super cheap, or it would be about half the normal price. And so we create this Black Friday sense where in many cases, if you sell multiple people in a row, you can create more urgency. I know one of my manager, Tanner Tucker, my first summer, sold the whole walking club. I remember he sold the whole walking club, and he goes, working with Nancy and Jesse and Katie, Billy. He named the entire walking club, and all the rest of the walking club ladies bought because the urgency, and we were servicing their whole walking club that day. And so creating urgency will get you sales, and it will allow people to make decisions quicker. And now I want to ask, what objection would you get if you didn't put an urgency into your pitch and into your sale? Izzy?
I'll think about it.
I'll think about it. What's another one? Want to hear it?
Can I get a card?
Can I get a card? Ugh, that one stings. If you hear that at the end of the sale, you're like, I did something wrong. So the urgency part of it is amazing, and if you kind of push that in and slide that in, you will create more urgency and have that Black Friday sense. So yeah, just touching on objections. Objections are good. This is not a rejection. This is an opportunity to create value. And I say this a million times. You want to educate the customer. The only reason they've said no is because they don't know. And I say that to my guys all the time. They don't know. They don't understand. You might need to educate them more, and you might need to help them understand why this might be valuable for them. I would like to ask, like, who here has been totally against a product and then converted because of education? Who has been educated on a product? Yeah, me too. Like, I was like anti-Nintendo Switch. I was like, man, the stupidest thing ever. My wife sat me down, had the whole presentation. She's like, Nintendo Switch. We play as a family. Mario Kart. I whip your butt. Blah, blah, blah. All these things. And I was like, I'm converted. Let's roll. And so objections are good. It's an opportunity to educate people. And I'll say the phrase again. They're saying no because they don't know. Closing is meant to do one of two things: move the sale forward or finish the sale. What are the ABCs of closing or of sales? What is ABC?
Always be closing.
Always be closing. A good closer, or someone who is consistently closing, is usually making more money than the guy next to him. And I'll use Nathan Gundy for an example. His first week or two was just, I think it was just kind of rocky, and he was getting things started, kind of similar to a lot of people, the learning curve. And we tweaked one or two things. I knocked with him for like an hour. Same day, sold 5 and never stopped selling 5. And I think he became a closer. He saw me work with some guys on the doors, and we knocked together. And once you realize if you can push the sale forward and be that person that nudges them a little bit, you will move the sale forward and finalize the sale without asking permission. The last thing that I'll touch on with closing is you do not want to ask permission for these people. Usually you're like, sir, would you like this service? Or sir, would you like to purchase this item? You are assumptive, and an amazing salesman is assumptive. I've had people ask me, they're like, so are we doing this? And I'm like, yes, we are. Go get the card. It's inside. And you'll get that question a lot. It's like, So wait, so are we doing this right now? It's like, yes, sir, we are. And if you can be confident and tell them like, I'll meet you inside, I'll meet you in the backyard, or if you want to step inside, I'd love to chat with the wife as well. Those are all assumptive statements saying you are in the driver's seat, as Parker says. You want to be in the driver's seat while you're maintaining this conversation and have the ball in your court.
I just want to share like one or two last things. So like, I love this idea of like flyer boys and flyer girls don't make a lot of money, right? Like if you've had people in your neighborhood that have like left a flyer on your door or on your car or whatever, like those people are getting paid by the hour to do that. I promise you they don't make what we make, right? The reason why is because they are not directly creating revenue. They're not getting revenue collected from a customer and customers created, right? So closers get paid and flyer people don't. And so it's a really important piece that we're gonna get you really confident with like closes that actually work, right? So Cam mentioned like there are closes that are just unproductive, right? So like getting to the end and just simply asking like, are you interested in this? Like that's one way to do things. It's probably not a very productive close. A better one is an assumptive one that might sound like, hey, this looks like it would be an awesome fit for you. Will you guys be here tomorrow if we were to get you done? Like that's one is way more productive and assumptive, and then the other one is kind of like an ask and kind of like an apologetic. Some of it's also how you say it, right? So we're gonna help you become really confident in terms of closing so you can make awesome money and make more than flyer people.
Yes, one thing that Parker tells a lot is this isn't only going to benefit you in your life, it will benefit, or in sales, it will benefit you in multiple ways. You will be able to get into more financial opportunities like investment deals, or you will be able to create more friends. This applies to relationships. If you want to get a girlfriend, go be a closer. Like I promise you, if you can be assumptive and be someone who's confident, you will become someone who people are attracted to. And I mean, like people are attracted to energy, and sales is the transfer of energy. It's just, it kind of coincides with becoming a closer and becoming confident with that. So that is my take on closing. It is super important. The man himself.
At my house, here we go.
Oh, button? No, this is the laser. Here we go. No, this is not it.
Trying to play it?
Yeah, I'm trying to play it, but I messed up.
Should just be able to advance the slide, it'll go to that next, but it doesn't work.
I don't know how to get out of that.
We got a virus on your computer.
Game over, guys. Oh, thanks. Sweet. This is Parker on the doors, Saratoga Springs.
How long have you been in the home?
Oh, yeah, it's after about 5 years now.
That's awesome. Have you had one?
I don't haven't had really the need to.
Cool. Well, something to think about, sir. We, like I said, we do a lot of work in here. Mainly it's preventative. If you had been here a couple of years, we just reset the home, just kind of flush out some things that are nested that you may not be able to see. And because it's cost efficient for us, we would do your home for really cheap.
I mean, if it's real cheap, how much are we talking?
Sweet. So let's go over that. You can hear the first part. It said, "Hey man, I'm not interested." It's just like a no from me. Thank you. As he started to shut the door, Parker just asked some engaging questions, like, "Well, if you don't mind me asking, like, how long have you been here?" To kind of create a little bit of time. He transitioned into, "Well, just so you know, sir," and he kind of flowed in. So I would like to evaluate what was his empathy, what was his tailored response, and what was his close.
I don't know if everyone could hear it.
Yeah. We might want to, let's just go over it then. So he gave a good empathy statement. He's just like, "No worries," or I hear you, sir. Transitioned, and he said, "Well, just so you know, a lot of the folks around here are getting a reset done on the home. It might flush out some of the nesting you can't see." And then he closed. And so what he did is he provided a little bit of education. He provided just a tiny sliver of content for this customer to create opportunity. And right after that, he said, "If I could fit you in, it would be really cheap. Or if you were willing to give me a shot, it would be about half the normal price."
So close a lot of times in our industry on the porch is either a question or hooking for the discount, so saying that line, if I can fit your home in, I could do it for super cheap. That's a close, right? Because I'm trying to get, I'm closing that loop and I'm trying to get a response from the customer. So that's a close, or a question can be used as a close.
So this is a perfect example. You will do this a couple times and work the customer through their questions and objections. And it's simply like a no could turn into, okay, well, how much does that cost? Within, that was like 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds, he worked that customer through. So perfect example.
This next one I'm gonna do, you wanna do the next one?
Let's go to the next
So
one.
we're gonna watch another sale, but I've got it on a different.
So this will be a full, like an evaluation of a sale that Austin Tyner did from start to finish. I don't think we're gonna go all the way through, just because it is kind of long. But I want you guys to kind of point out some of the things that you might have learned throughout this sales training and apply it to this sale and see what he's doing. So we talked about nonverbal communication. We talked about metaverbal communication, and we talked about verbal communication at the beginning. And I want you guys to just kind of hone in on the general idea of how Austin is presenting to this customer. And then the last piece is, if he gives an objection, he goes through the objection cycle. And I'd like to ask any new person, what are the 3 steps to the objection cycle? You get a brownie point if you remember. New person. Even Jonas is like, who remembers? Izzy,
Detailed response post.
boom, D1 athlete right there. Empathy, tailored response, close. If you take anything away from tonight, I want you guys to remember that the objection cycle will get you through these conversations, and it'll help you through the sales cycle. So we're gonna watch Austin, just watch his interactions. Let's pause.
The guard dog?
So that was 4 seconds. What just happened there? That was only 3 seconds. You guys just looked up from your phone. That's what happened. What did I hear something?
Austin didn't.
Austin did, yeah. Sorry, what was that? I heard something.
You made a joke about the guard dog.
He made a joke about the guard dog, so he's immediately creating an amazing connection with the customer, letting their guard down a little bit, and just talking about the guard dog. How is he positioned right now? Super relaxed. He's about 6 to 8 feet from the customer. He's on his phone, probably texting tons of reps, helping him out. But Austin is in a very relaxed mode. And the way he's positioned is at a 45-degree angle, just kind of leaning back with his clipboard. And this once again kind of hits on body language and how he looks. Can I just hit the space bar?
Real quick, we're doing work for Jerry across the street. Has anyone let you know what's going on yet?
So the next 4 seconds of the initial approach and insight response, he said, I'm doing work with your neighbor Jerry across the street. Has anyone let you know what's going on? Why did he say that? He got him engaged, and the customer is, look at this. This guy's not leaving. The guy's not shutting the door. He knows Jerry, guarantee you. Jerry's his buddy, barbecues with him. And so that immediately engages the customer. And for those who have sold, you will see this. You will see their eyes light up. If they know this person, I'm doing work with Becky, they'll be like, what is Becky up to? Or,
It also humanizes you as the rep.
yes.
Because now you're not just a nuisance, you're, oh, you know Jerry? Jerry and I,
Yeah.
we bowl, like whatever. You're in the circle now.
You're in the circle, you're in the walking group. And the second part to this is it creates credibility. If you are walking around saying Jerry and everyone knows Jerry, it creates credibility with you and our company. So that's what just happened there. Beautiful.
My trucks are in the area. We're also treating down here around the corner by the middle school for Nancy, right where the road turns. And about 30 others here on the hillside. Who do you have coming out for your customer?
Sweet. So this is just the last section of our engaging and asking questions. He ended it with doing work with Nancy around the corner. Who do you have doing your pest control? So now what point in the sales cycle are we at? From the vet, let's hear it.
Side response.
Insider response. So he's trying to engage the customer and create responses to create connection and move the sale forward. So I'll only stop it one more time. I want you guys to just kind of hone in and focus on what Austin's doing. And just remember, like, look at how he's looking and what he's saying. That's about it.
Watch him break this objection.
Dude, it's gonna be beautiful.
Hey, that's why my wife keeps me around.
You said me.
Well, perfect.
Uh-oh. Frame by frame. This is why Parker and I don't touch the.
Hey, that's why my wife keeps me around too. I'm her bug guy. Well, perfect. Jerry had been doing some stuff himself as well. What we're offering is just a couple visits just to get all the bugs out of the walls. Are you using stuff from Home Depot or buying it offline or what kind of? It's from the store?
Yeah.
So that stuff has more of an odor. It's just a contact killer. What we're doing is an odorless.
What is he doing right now?
professional Flush, so it just gets the bugs out of the
Education,
walls,
educating the
out
customer.
of the attic. Do you have a crawl space? Gets everything out of the crawl space. We just come a few times and set you come to make it easier for you in the future. If we can squeeze you in with Jerry, Nancy, and the Kings Ward and neighbor Derek, we can do it for about half off.
Cool.
No,
So that's all I wanted to show today. Austin was super smooth with it. He provided education and created value for the customer. And what you noticed, what you maybe didn't notice was this dude, we're just gonna name him Bob. Bob was vibing. You see him going like this? And Austin was providing good education and telling the customer, we're gonna treat the crawl space, take care of some of the ants, and he closed. If I could fit you in, it would be about half off. Bob here was already ready. Bob was like, let's do it.
Did you hear what he said when he mentioned half off? He said right at the end, he said, what's half off? So that's another way of saying how much, right?
It's buying time.
That's what we want. We want to get them to say how much. If they've done that, we'll talk about this in the future trainings, but you hear how much, you're almost
They're
there.
in the green almost. First down. And so, what we're trying to get to here is called a first down. You will have first downs throughout the sale, and for those that are new, you're gonna think this is impossible to get from step A all the way to step, Z in the sale and close them and credit card in hand and get the sale rolling. But if you can think of this in terms of first downs, it is very simple. Breaking it up helped me on my first day get my first sale. I got to my first down and the guy said how much, and I almost freaked out. Dude, what is going on? He asked how much, so I knew I was at my first down and I took it to the next step. And so, if you're thinking this is a little complicated or scary, take it in sections and get to your first down, and the customer will kind of walk you through it. And anyway, it's a beautiful thing. Thank you guys for kind of tuning in tonight. If you're gonna take away anything, I would love to hear what you would take away from tonight's training. Adam, you got something just brewing. I know you do, bro. Sorry to catch you mid-dinner. You probably ran into Yeah.
Massive bite.
Yeah. Let's come back to Adam. He's grabbing right now. What takeaways do you guys have?
I would say for me, just like verbally being slow, like Austin's just so mellow. I feel like that's something that you tend to rush a little bit sometimes in the doors, but more chill you are, the better.
Supernatural. If you can become a slow and confident talker, usually you will be talking quicker than you think. And I've had reps where I'm like, you're talking too fast. And they're like, I feel lethargic saying the words this slow to the customer. But when you play it back, it sounds normal and it sounds clear, sounds professional and super precise. Dig.
I would, and I know we'll touch on this more, but the mirroring, I think is so cool.
Beautiful.
I focused a lot on it my first summer. And like when I was talking to hillbillies, I became a hillbilly. When they were rich, I was formal. And it just made the sale so much more fluid to the point that it felt good because I was just talking with a friend that I had a lot of common traits with. So, and I know we'll touch on it, but I really like the mirroring aspect.
Pro mirror right there. Dignan gets. I would find him, I'd go pick him up at like 9:30 and he'd be at a campfire sitting with the marshmallow, like selling you people. And they were all roasted. So
You become one of them, dude.
Yes.
You're in an Amish neighborhood, you become Amish.
Making churn and butter.
One thing that I wanna work on is angling myself away from them and but still interacting with them.
Good, yeah, we have reps that are strong and big, and it can be intimidating when they come out and the customer's just like this and they're just like this, it can create kind of friction, so yeah, that's awesome. Love
Yeah,
that.
the bigger and taller you are, you wanna be really careful with distance and like positioning. And
Yeah.
if you're a big boy and you're squaring someone up, we'll coach you on that.
Yeah. We had to buy, or we had to get Steven Savage to almost punch over, because he's just, he's like past that side, you gotta put a big shirt on this guy.
And when you first see Austin, like, it almost looks like disrespectful,
Right.
because he's like looking at his phone. This old guy's probably like, what, get off your phone, son. But I think what that does is it immediately drops that guard, and he's like, this guy's here for a reason, he's in the middle of work, he's working on something. You know, it's like, he's not here to like attack me. And then he wants to know like, hey, what are you guys up to? Like, you're in a formal shirt, what are you doing out here? It immediately draws them in, where if you're squaring up to them and looking them in the eyes when they open the door, they're just like, get out of here, man, what are you trying to hurt me?
Beautiful. I saw one or two more hands. Right here, and then Izzy in the back.
I like how objection was portrayed as an opportunity to bounce back, I guess, and to reassure people, to educate them.
Yeah.
Because that happens a lot of times, not just in sales, but in life, objections in life.
To zooming out, that is so true. If you can bounce back from hardships, you will be the toughest person in the room. Yeah, I love that.
Well, his objection was DIY,
Yes.
and he starts creating value by saying, well, there's stuff you can't see in your walls, boom, done.
After empathy, which
Yeah.
is, which is why he was willing to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. The way he built to that, but ultimately that was what he gave him permission, right? To say, oh yeah, DIY is not enough because I don't see what's in the walls. Boom, he's back to listening.
What was his empathy statement?
That's why my life.
Yeah, he said, he made a joke with it, which is awesome sometimes with empathy statements, but he said, oh yeah, that's why my wife keeps me around too. I do the bugs at my house.
Yeah, and Jerry was doing some DIY himself as well.
Yep.
And he already knows you sold Jerry. So he's like, no, crap.
We know he loves Jerry. Izzy?
I think just how powerful assumptions could be. Usually assumptions are kind of back in day-to-day life, but when he assumed like, oh, who do you have doing the test control, like already assuming who, like he had somebody, just continue the conversation.
Yeah, 100%. And to hit on all those Arkansas boys last year, like we would go up to every door. I mean, most of us did. It's like, who do you have? And it was like 9 out of 10 doors had a company, but if they didn't, they're like, should I have someone? Like, who are you? It's like, it varies assumptive, and it almost like allows them to fit into this group that you are creating. So the assumptions are an amazing thing if you can frame them in the correct way and help the customer feel that sense of urgency. Adam.
Yeah, the importance of like verbal, nonverbal, and metaverbal communication. It's like my third year, I still think about this all the time, just because it's so important that you get the right tonality for the right person. And so just being, if you master like those 3 types of communication, then you got a baller somewhere ahead of you.
100%.
No.
On Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Adam in the back and a couple other guys. Adam mentioned the 3 communication filters: nonverbal, metaverbal, and verbal communication. If you master that and you work on those, you'll become an excellent communicator and have a lot of excellent opportunity to create money this summer. Cool. Let's get one last one, and then what I would love to do is just take the last couple minutes of this training and have you break out into just groups with your manager or even someone you know here. And just try what you saw tonight, doing just the first 4 seconds, first 5 seconds of the initial approach. So one last takeaway. Anyone? Just gonna finish this off. Emily.
It's just fun that you can keep doing this and just keep looking for ways to be better. Because obviously right at the beginning, if you try to focus on everything, you're gonna forget everything. And so it's fun that you go like little by little and grow. Incorporating more mirroring, incorporating more, oh, try that, totally cross, try that.
Yeah, I guess I'll add one more just on top of that, like, same neighborhood, same houses, same people, every variable is the same, right? Like, if we're in Oklahoma or Arkansas or Virginia or like wherever we're at, the only variable that's different is the sales rep, right? And we have some sales reps that really struggle and some that make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this job with this pitch. And so, it is all this, like the inches add up and all this stuff. And I geek out on it because I just love this idea that like the player or the athlete in the arena is the variable and everything else is the same. And so like, just become interested in it, right? It's the off season, find your process, become interested in it. The ROI on becoming really interested and curious and trying to learn this stuff at a high level is incredible and changed my life, changed multiple people's lives here. And so, anyway, this stuff's worth learning and, Cam, you killed it, man. That was awesome.
Thank you.
So-